Welcome all. In the previous class, we had discussed the first chapter in geography. This chapter is not over, and today we discuss the different forms of condensation. When does condensation begins? When atmosphere becomes saturated, the condensation begins. The different forms of condensation are frost, dew, fog or mist and clouds. These are the different forms of condensation. All of you look at the picture of the different forms of condensation. In this picture, you can see frost, the picture of frost, mist and fog, dew and cloud. Okay, then first we discuss the first form of condensation. It is dew. In early morning, you might have noticed that the water droplets that clinging on the leaves and grass of the blades of the grass. How it happened? What is the reason of it? The surface of the earth gets cooled during night and the atmosphere also cools. And then as a result of it, the water vapor to condense. The water vapor to condense and the condensed water droplets to clinging on the cold surface on earth. It is the first form of condensation, dew. The next form of condensation is that frost. The places where the night temperature falls below 0 degrees Celsius, instead of dew, there formed small ice crystals. This form of condensation is known as frost. Look at the picture of frost. The places on the earth where the night temperature falls below 0 degrees Celsius, instead of dew, there formed small ice crystals. This form of condensation is known as frost. Okay, next form of condensation is that mist or fog. You learned that in atmosphere have more dust particles. This fog or mist as a result of the condensation around the fine dust particles in the lower atmosphere. This fog or mist is the result of the condensation around the fine dust particles in the lower atmosphere, and this also affect the atmospheric visibility. If the range of visibility is less than 1 kilometer, it is known as fog, and the range of visibility is more than 1 kilometer, here it is known as mist. Okay, it is the third form of condensation. Then next, last form of condensation is that clouds. How clouds is formed? Clouds are formed by the condensation around the fine dust particles in the atmosphere. It is formed around the fine dust. Condensation around the fine dust particles in the atmosphere. And the different types of clouds. Clouds classified into 4. First is that cirrus clouds, stratus clouds, cumulus clouds and nimbus clouds. Cirrus clouds, stratus clouds, cumulus clouds and nimbus clouds. These are the 4 types of clouds. Then next we discuss the features of 4 types of clouds. The first cloud is that cirrus clouds. Then what are the features of these cirrus clouds? These clouds are feather-like clouds. Feather-like clouds in the upper atmosphere. It can see in the weather clear conditions. These are the features of cirrus clouds. Then next cloud is that stratus clouds. The features of stratus clouds are it appear in the thick layers in the lower part of the sky. Thick layers. It appears as the thick layers in the lower part of the sky. And next cloud is that cumulus clouds. The features of the cloud is that all of you look at the picture of cumulus clouds. These clouds resemble huge cotton bundles and are formed due to strong convection currents. They have large vertical extent. This type of cloud is known as cumulus clouds. Then next cloud is that nimbus clouds. Then look at the picture of nimbus clouds. What are the features of this nimbus cloud? Look at the picture. These are the dark rain clouds in the lower atmosphere. Nimbus clouds are the dark rain clouds in the lower atmosphere. These clouds appear dark as it does not allow sunlight to pass through due to thick concentration of water droplets. These are the 4 types of clouds. Okay. Next we study about the precipitation. What is known as precipitation? The continuous condensation. What is known as precipitation? Continuous condensation causes the droplets in the clouds to grow in size. Continuous condenses. It causes the water droplets in clouds to grow in size. You learned that the earth has gravitational force. Because of the gravitational force, the water droplets in the clouds, it gets released and it falling on earth in different forms. These forms of precipitation, different forms of precipitation, forms of water droplets is known as precipitation. Okay. Then next is that different forms of precipitation. First is that rainfall, snowfall and hailstone. These are the 3 forms of precipitation. Then first form is that rainfall. The common manifestation of precipitation in the form of water droplets. water drops is known as rainfall. Then next is that snowfall. When the temperature below 0 degree Celsius, the precipitation reaches on earth in the form of small ice crystals. This form of precipitation is known as snowfall. What is known as snowfall? When the temperature falls below 0 degree Celsius, the precipitation reaches on earth in the form of small ice crystals. This form of precipitation is known as snowfall. The next form of precipitation is known as hailstone. When the droplets gets released from the clouds and it passes through the cold layer of the atmosphere, and this water droplets, becomes ice pellets, and then after it they reach on the earth. This type of precipitation is known as hailstone. All of you look at the picture of hailstone. How it formed? If the water droplets released from the clouds happen to pass through colder layers of the atmosphere, they may reach the earth in the form of ice pellets. This type of form of precipitation is called hailstone. Okay, these are the different forms of precipitation. Then next we discuss about the different types of rainfall. Different types of rainfall. Mainly 3 types of rainfall. First is that orographic rainfall. Second is that convectional rainfall. And third, border rainfall. Orographic rainfall, convectional rainfall and border rainfall. Then first rainfall is that the orographic rainfall. How it happened? The orographic rainfall. The moisture laden wind, it blows from the sea and it moves upward on the slopes of the mountains. And from there it gets cooled and condensed to form clouds. And the windward side of the mountains here gets heavy rainfall. But what about the other conditions? What about the condition of other part of the mountains? Here the windward side of the mountains here gets heavy rainfall, but that side, other side of the mountains here not get rainfall. That is why this other side of the mountain is known as leeward side. And the places situated at the leeward side of the mountains here do not get rainfall. This places or this region is known as the rain shadow regions. The windward side of the mountains here also get heavy rainfall. This type of rainfall is known as orographic rainfall. Then all of you look at the picture of orographic rainfall. Here you can see the moisture air. It moves upward along the mountain slopes, and where it gets cooled and condensed to form clouds. When the windward side of the mountain receive heavy rainfall, the leeward sides do not receive rainfall due to the descending dry air. This type of rainfall is known as orographic rainfall, and the places situated at the leeward sides, and here do not get any rainfall. That is why these places is also known as the rain shadow regions. Then next rain is that convectional rain. It is known as convectional rain. You learned that the features of equatorial region. What are the features of equatorial region? The sunrise directly falls on the equatorial region. That is why here temperature is very high. Then that is why the air it gets heated and rise up. Then look at the picture of the convectional rain. Cumulus clouds are formed by the cooling and condensation of rising warm air. Rainfall occurs with thunder and lightning. This rain mostly occurring in the afternoon, and it does not last long. This type of rainfall is called convectional rainfall. This is a common phenomena in the tropical regions in the summer. It is the features of border rain. Then next is that it is the features of the convectional rain. Then next rain is that border rain. How it happened? Border rain. And there is always a difference in temperature over land and seas. If the air over seas comes in contact with the air over land in coastal regions, then the warm air will push it up and upward and causing the cloud formation and rainfall. This type of rainfall is known as border rainfall. Okay, all of you look at the picture of border rainfall. And this, if the air over the sea comes in contact with the air over the land in the coastal regions, that time the warm air will be pushed upwards and causing the cloud formation and rainfall. This type of rainfall is known as border rainfall. Okay. These are the different types of rainfall. Orographic rainfall, conventional rainfall and border rainfall. Okay. In this chapter, we discussed the factors, the process of heat transfer in the atmosphere. Process of heat transfer in the atmosphere. Then 4 process: conduction, convection, advection and terrestrial radiation. And then heat budget. What is known as heat budget? The balance between the insolation and terrestrial radiation is known as heat budget. And then we study about the temperature, and which instrument used for to measure temperature? Thermometer. And diurnal, then you studied the difference between diurnal range of temperature and daily mean temperature, and the factors influencing the distribution of temperature and global distribution of temperature. And today we studied the different forms of condensation, and the different types of clouds, and precipitation, what is known as precipitation, and the different forms of precipitation. And lastly we studied the different types of rainfall. Okay, and the questions in this chapter, first chapter in geography, all of you write the questions. Write the first question. First question: explain the reasons for the different forms of condensation. Explains the reasons for the different forms of condensation. Second question: classifies the clouds. Like the different types of clouds. Explain. Question is that write the different types of clouds. Third question: explain the situations leading to different forms of precipitation. Explain the situations leading to different forms of precipitation. Next question: write the different types of rainfall based on their formation. Write the different types of rainfall based on their formation. These are the questions in this chapter. Okay, thank you all.